Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Collision Control Center, episode 16 for August 16th. How convenient is that? And what an incredible collision it was last night. Storylines, action, brutality, the return of some fan favorites, and a main event that may make you question your own sexuality. But we'll get right to it and let's kick it off. But before we talk about Collision, Dynamite Download wants to congratulate Konosuke Takeshita, the Alpha, for winning the G1 Climax. Well-deserved. His place is among Antonio Inoki, Kenny Omega, Zack Sabre Jr., and, of course, Okada. Now, what are the ramifications from this? Is Okada going to have a little bit of jealousy now? Or will Takeshita get the grand reception that he deserves from the Callis family? Or are we getting ready to see a Takeshita babyface turn? We'll have to wait and find out. But before we get to that, let's talk about last night's Collision, full of all kinds of action, some incredible matchups, and some interesting developments and storylines continuing. Make you really wonder what is going to be going on beyond Forbidden Door. We have some thoughts here at Dynamite Download, but let us know your thoughts. What do you think is developing after Forbidden Door, and what do you think is next for the Death Riders? But let's get right to it. And speaking of the Death Riders, they kicked off the first match. But before we got even to the Death Riders, we had to hear from our timeless women's champion. Yes, the Tramp is still the champ, but will she be able to defend it at Forbidden Door? We got to hear from Toni Storm. She came out, of course, and addressed the crowd to a huge cheer and even said her special prayer of milk, lemonade around the corner fudge is made. Toni Storm, please don't change. But it wasn't long before the Fallen Goddess made her attack, and then, of course, her minion, Billy Starks, made the attack as well and got the better of her. But then who should appear but none other than Mina with a recovering broken hand. She has a cast on, but she was ready for the beatdown on Athena. Also, if you don't know, if you have to, might want to check that Mina is challenging Athena for the ROH title, and Athena has 68 wins so far. Mina said, "You cannot 69 Mina." So got that going for her. But I am looking forward. I love this tandem, and I would love to see Alex Windsor join in as a trio, and then perhaps who would join Athena and Billy Starks. We've got all kinds of potential for this. This feud is boiling hot. Super excited to see where it goes, and I'm excited to see what happens next week when we see this pair up. It's going to be awesome. But as far as matches, the kicking off, the Death Riders took on Jet Speed. What a way to just jam-pack the front load the show with an incredible adrenaline-fueled, brutal match like this. And yes, this was everything you would expect. High-flying, kicks from Speedball, super air from the Jet, Kevin Knight. It was incredible. Moxley, of course, being brutal. Marina Shafir trying to interfere. There were some great spots. There was a great spot where Speedball kind of got through Marina Shafir into the steps, and everybody cheered. But the standout here, and I have to agree with a lot of people, actually was Wheeler Yuta. Yes, he continues to be kind of the lapdog of the Death Riders, but it didn't seem like it here. Of course, there was all kinds of action with Jet Speed. There was a lot of moments where it looked like they were going to get the upper hand. But due to, of course, some shenanigans, it was Wheeler Yuta that was able to get the 1-2-3, getting the victory versus being the one eating the pen, which I think is important to continue to protect Wheeler Yuta from becoming the jobber of the Death Riders, which I think is very, very important. Wheeler stood out here. He also was able to sell quite a bit. He takes a lot of beating, a lot of abuse, and still shows up and still punches in for a great match. Excellent job, Wheeler Yuta. Just let's cut some hair. Let's see your eyes a little bit more. And then we had the Paragon versus one of my new favorite tag teams, even though they didn't get the victory, the Swirl, which is, of course, the Vanilla Baby, Blake Christian, and the Chocolate Shotty, Big Shotty, Lee Johnson. If you were watching Ring of Honor, you notice that Blake Christian has trademarked the term the Swirl. So apparently that's going to be their tag team name. I'm with it, the Chocolate Vanilla Swirl. It's going to be interesting, but I love watching them in action, even if I know they're going to lose. I love watching the high flying. I think they're going to be future champions at some point. At least maybe Ring of Honor champions. Would like to see it. Also, with Kyle O'Reilly, is they're starting to evolve Kyle O'Reilly back into the conglomeration. I do like that there seems to be some storyline, and I think even Roderick Strong, I was talking with Full Tilt Deb, and we think it'd be interesting to see if Roderick even kind of fits into the conglomeration reluctantly. We know that Roderick, when he was Mr. Neck Strong, like Adam, he can be goofy too. I think it would be interesting to see how this storyline and Kyle having to choose alliances, his friends in the conglomeration versus his alliance with Roderick is. I hope this ends up being bringing Roderick into the fold, but I think everybody will agree Kyle O'Reilly in the conglomeration is so much more enjoyable than Kyle O'Reilly with the Paragon. And if we could just morph these together, we'll get the best of everybody. Hologram's reactions in the backstage promo before this match was really hilarious too. They came out to celebrate some Skyline chili, and Roderick grabbed Kyle O'Reilly like a spurned mean girl, like you can't sit with them kind of thing. It was kind of funny, but yes, Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong got the victory over the Swirl, but we're going to see the Swirl in action more and more, and I love watching them wrestle. They're very entertaining, high flyers, and I think they're going to be future champions in this company, guaranteed. And then we had the debut of Ace Austin, and what a match for him to debut is with Ricochet. Wow, 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 here comes a Ricochet. Wow, wow. Yes, that song was in our head for several hours after watching this match, but what a great debut for Ace Austin. Full Tilt Deb had never heard of him before. I gave her kind of the quick 411 on his time with TNA. He shows up and made a super impression on Full Tilt Deb, and of course, I knew he was going to make an impression on the AEW fans. Another high flyer, another workhorse wrestler, incredible agility. And this was a match I think a lot of us were hoping to see at some point, whether in WWE, TNA, or AEW, because ever since Ricochet came to AEW, the list of who he could wrestle has grown. I think Ace Austin's going to be another huge star. Some people mentioning putting him with Jet Speed as a trio would be interesting. Also, if Chris Bay makes his comeback, full tilt comeback, be interesting to see if Chris Bay comes over to AEW. Be interesting to see how that goes. Incredible debut. Yes, Ace Austin unfortunately could not get the W because of shenanigans from the Gates of Agony. The Gates of Agony do continue to make their presence known and be a good pair of twin towers guarding Ricochet. But regardless, this was not on television, but it was announced off the air and it was on social media that Ace Austin is officially All Elite. Tony Khan came out and made that announcement. Welcome to AEW. I'm super excited to see what's in store for this guy. He's going to be putting on some incredible matches. Fasten your seatbelts. Ace Austin is going to fly high in AEW. And we, of course, had the schmage of the women's matches. We had ourselves a potty match in the house tonight. SBD was going to lose his mind, but everybody had a good time because we had ourselves a four-way. Yes, it was a four-way dance, 100K, plus, of course, filling into the whole storyline that this money's coming out of the EVP fund. But another 100K going to the winner. And this was such an incredible match. This was four of my favorites in the women's division, and again, it's incredible to see what the AEW women's division has become, and without its former champions. If you bring back Britt Baker, you bring in Nyla Rose, Riho, Shida, bring Thunder Rosa back into the mix. It's what an incredible division we have, and it's been great. But the standout in this match, which again, when you have Penelope with her murder gymnastics, sorry, Lady Frost, Anna Jay looking great with her high kicks and maneuvers, Julia Hart being fantastic as well. But the standout was definitely Statlander. She is the best bout machine in the women's division, arguably the best bout machine in women's wrestling. Always puts on a great match. And I'm not going to say she carried this match because that's a disservice to the other three ladies who were incredible. But Statlander was definitely the ring general, the base in this match. And she did get the 1, 2, 3. But after that, there was an attack from the Triangle of Madness. And of course, there was an attack from Megan Bayne. And we had an attack from, we had everybody coming in, a big smudge. And then suddenly, who should come in to make the save but none other than Harley Cameron, Feel the Wrath. And she came in with her mask and she made the big save, cleared the ring of all the baddies with her big 2x4 wrapped in chains. And she chased everybody out. Not to mention that both Ty Mello and Queen Aminata had come in as well. But the highlight was Feel the Wrath. Harley Cameron, the masked maven herself, was there, and she scared off Megan Bayne. Are we building up to a 5-on-5 women's match here? I don't know. But I do like that. I would rather have more women's matches, but if we're only going to have one women's match, I do think it's pretty cool that they're showcasing as many women as possible on the women's matches. I mean, again, this was a 4-way, but it was really an 8-way because everybody had at least one person at ringside or coming to ringside at the end to help out. But it's great to see Harley Cameron back. And does Megan fear Harley Cameron? Perhaps she does, and maybe she should. And then, of course, we had an incredible backstage segment as Renee was congratulating Chris Statlander, and Chris Statlander did her little confetti thing. Not sure what that is, but Harley Cameron was there to celebrate with Chris Statlander. And then who should show up for another congratulations was none other than Jon Moxley with Wheeler Yuta. Moxley giving Statlander kind of the nod of approval. And an awkward Harley Cameron had to kind of disappear into the background a little bit. It was really funny. Yuta still telling her congratulations. There's definitely some sore, bitter feelings from Statlander with Wheeler coming from his best friend's turncoat situation. But are we developing? Do you think Statlander's going to join the Death Riders, or is Willow, or will Harley be able to keep her on the good side, paving way for perhaps a Shayna Baszler to show up? I know the rumors were talking she produced some WWE matches, but lately some talk is that she's open to coming to AEW and maybe pairing up with Marina Shafir. So we'll see how this is going to go. So many storylines with the women's division, all jammed into one ginormous schmoz of a segment. I say schmoz in a good way, though. It was great. Go ahead and make sure you get a chance to see it. And I love the pop that Harley Cameron got when her music hit and she came out. It was so deserving. We're so glad to see her back. She's too entertaining for television. Welcome back, Harley Cameron. Look forward to seeing what you got going on. And then we had the Juice is Loose versus Brian Keith. And as much as he's trying hard not to do it, the Juice is starting to show signs of his old crazy feral self. There was a moment here where he I don't know if he hurt his knee or if he legit hurt, if it was a sell, but he started getting the wild eyes and the screaming, and we started to hear, and the crowd went nuts. The crowd's waiting for that, and Austin's trying to cheer it on. So I think they're teasing this. I think this is kind of like a a long-term tease. And eventually, when Juice finally goes loose, we're going to cheer and we're going to see him go crazy and fake pee on people. And that's what we're looking for. And Juice, if you're watching, dude, we love you in that feral mode, man. And if you're afraid no one will take you seriously for a championship, if you're acting like that, forget it. No, you will be. You could be champion with that. I mean, look at your wife, Toni Storm. Look at Orange Cassidy. There's plenty of champions that also make people laugh as well as cheer. And Feral Juice Robinson is a champion. So let's slowly burn that. Let's do a slow burn and bring that character back because we miss him. And hopefully you're not injured as well, because either you sold really well or the Bang Bang Gang is snake bit. I hope it's not that. But that was such a great victory, great to see, and I hope the Bang Bang Gang comes back in full force. And then we finished off with the main event, the technical spectacle. Sorry. Well, tough to say. The technical spectacle wallet and watch match. And now, I've read the Kama Sutra. I haven't seen these images in there, but this was quite the touchy-feely. This was quite the submission match. It was definitely good to be on last, where most kids have gone to bed. But we had a lot of these human centipede type submission scenarios where everybody was yanking on each other. Yeah, phrasing, I know. But definitely was quite an interesting match. But there was a highlight here. And the winner of this match is going to take on Zack Sabre Jr. in London. The fan favorite was obviously Nigel McGuinness. A lot of people were expecting Danny Garcia to be the one to win. It came down to Nigel versus Danny Garcia with submissions. Who was going to get their man to tap in first? It ended up being Nigel McGuinness getting his opponent to submit first. Therefore, he won. And the crowd was really behind it, this is going to mean that Nigel versus Zack Sabre Jr. is going to happen, and it's going to happen in London. This is a match that, if you don't know the history, this has been a match that they've wanted to have for years, and it's finally going to happen. Even if this ends up being Nigel's last match, it's going to be glorious. Looking forward to it. But there was a heartwarming moment afterwards when Renee came in to talk to Nigel, and Nigel asked Danny Garcia if he could be in his corner. So we're either going to get a heel turn from Daniel Garcia, or this might lead to Danny Garcia going after Zack Sabre Jr. at some point. Either way, this was a great moment, a great way to end the Collision. It was fantastic. Make sure you check this out, but it's not for the faint at heart. Our top performers for Collision, and since SBD was out pretending to be homeless, then FTD and I watched Collision. And Full Tilt Deb, I have to agree, her top performer of all people is Wheeler Yuta, and I agree. I think that's a great pick. He was the standout in that match. Even though he did take a lot of abuse, he dished it out too, and he did get the victory, the clear victory over Jet Speed. So, Wheeler, we recognize what you're doing, and I think it's good stuff. And ironically, their prospect is who I picked as my top performer, Chris Statlander. Now, the entire women's roster that was involved in this match were fantastic. I don't want to take away from Penelope, don't want to take away from Anna Jay, and I certainly don't want to take away from anybody involved in this match, but because Julia Hart was fantastic, everybody was fantastic, but it was Chris Statlander was the clear ring general in this match, and she is the best bout machine. Conspicuously absent was Willow. I don't know if Willow's still going to be involved in Statlander's stuff, or is she going to shift attention somewhere else, but it's very compelling. But both of these, this is our top performer. Wheeler Yuta, our top performer from Full Tilt Deb, and Chris Statlander, top performer from WA. And let's look at the draft rankings. And good gravy, Steven. Slow down, dude. Steven with multiple points is now as a commanding lead at 35 points. What is going on? The brain is really cashing in some serious pointage. Ranger is the only one that's closest to him with 27 points. SBD 26, myself 25. AA Ron, the American Cowboy, with 21. Crayfish 20. Bobby at 18, and pulling ahead of her handler, Full Tilt Deb with 17, Brent at 15, and of course Courtney bringing up the rear with the respectful in caboose at 7. Hopefully some things will turn around for Courtney's team here real soon. Anything can happen, even though 35 is quite a big amount of points. Anything can happen, so make sure you check us out. All right, let us know, what was your favorite moment from Collision? What did you enjoy the most? What are your predictions? What do you think's going to happen? Oh, and by the way, we do have a special message from SPD. It's not necessarily a hot take. It's a special message. So let's leave you with the full account from SPD, Somewhere in the Wilderness.
What's up, everyone? It's SPD coming at you from Michigan. I'm on vacation this week, out camping in northern Michigan. I miss you all. Wish I was there with you guys talking all things AEW, because last night's show really felt like a huge chess move by Tony Khan and AEW. I mean, absolutely incredible. It's just mind-blowing of all the stuff that I have, the results of last night, from everything from Hangman and MJF being officially announced, to baiting them in, to the lights out steel cage match with Kenny Omega return, Will Ospreay return, which to me seems very, very early after what we saw a few weeks ago, which is a whole nother topic of discussion. And the Derby, Derby front and center on that other team, Team AEW versus Death Riders and Young Bucks. Like, so many layers going on in AEW. It's just such a fun time. But last night's show really did feel like a momentous and monumental show with what's changing with the landscape. I mean, plus not even the biggest thing that we've been wanting for the longest time is Cope and Christian reuniting. So a lot of stuff to talk about on the show. Thank you so much for holding it down, Myndrunner. I just want to pop in and say what's up to everybody. Miss you all. SPD is going to be trying to tune in as best as possible with the little service that I have, and enjoy the rest of the show. And I'll see you next week, not only for Dynamite Download, but also our Forbidden Door preview show. SPD out.
All right, thank you, SPD, for your hot take. Thank you so much. Let us know in the comments what your favorite moment was from Collision. What storylines in AEW are you super excited about? What are you looking forward to with Forbidden Door? And where would you like to see some of these debuts and returns? Where do you think they should be going? Who do you think should be champion? And will we see a Takeshita babyface turn? Let us know. Again, I've been Myndrunner, and have a great week. Enjoy the wrestling you enjoy, and we'll see you live on Thursday with our Dynamite Download recap.